It's weekly download time. 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 Weekly download time. It's 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 weekly download time. And now it's time to learn some stuff. It's weekly download time. 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 And now it's time to learn some stuff. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to do another weekly download double header today. I'm going to start it off with a real juicy one. This is a very bite-sized tip. So yeah, pay attention because we're going to go real quick and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you, I'm going to build off of this next tip. Okay, so a lot of you know about making 128s. Making 128s is something that I swear by. It is a really, really, really useful way to organize your samples, right? And basically what you do is, let's say you have a drum beat and you're making a drum beat and you want to, it's like a lot of time you'll make a beat and you'll build it around a kick drum, right? And then halfway through your track, your kick drum suddenly doesn't sound very good and you're wondering why, and you'll try and pile EQ and compression and everything onto it and it won't work. And chances are you just need another kick drum. So you can use the Ableton Hot Swap feature, but there's a much faster, much easier, much more powerful way to do it, and that is by making 128s. So if I go into my user library here, what? Are you serious, Ableton? Weird. Okay, annoying. Looks like Ableton is, for some reason, not displaying my user library. Okay, let's try that again. Maybe I'll close and reopen live. Okay, but anyway, if you go into your user library, if you go into my user library, if you go to any of my templates, such as the Infinite Drum Rack, etc. Oh, jeez, Ableton, why are you being a bad boy today? Alright, whatever. I'll go to Ableton Live 10. I haven't been using Live 9 that much, so it's I guess a little rusty. So I'll just show you this in Live 10. Okay, so if I go to my user library, you can see that I have all of these different 128s. So here, let's get a drum rack, and I'll put a 128 in there quick. Okay, so 128s, presets, instrument rack, and then if I go here to drum cells, I have a folder of all these 128s, right? So let's say I'll put this kicks on there. When I press my kick, actually here, let's put a limiter on the master quick. Okay, so if I go in here, you can see that I have this 128 here. I'll put that to -12, where there's 128 kick drums, and I can change that kick drum by turning this knob. Right? And scroll through all these kicks by turning a knob on my push. You know, and you can see that little pitch plugin moving. Right? So that's the kind of classic way of making 128s. And I think a lot of people, they don't use 128s because they have this big hang up that it's going to take a while to organize them and make them and put them in the library. But today I'm going to show you how you can make 128s on the fly really, really fast. Okay, like really, really, really fast. So I'll show you how to do that. So step one is get a sampler. So I'm going to take a sampler and I'm just going to put a sampler right on the drum cell. And then step two is to get some samples. So we're going to start with some kicks. So I'm going to go here and then going to go to kick acoustic. And I'm going to take all of these acoustic kicks and put them in the 128. And then I'm going to go kick electronic. And I'm going to take all of these electronic kicks and put them in. And then I'm going to go to kick processed and take all these processed kicks and put them in. And then I'm going to select them all. Oh, there's 102, so I have less than 128. If you have less than 128, you want to go Command D and duplicate so you have more than 128. Now I have 204 samples, and you can see that in the sampler. So as long as you have more than 128, then you just right click, distribute ranges equally. And then in the old style of 128s, right, I was using MIDI pitch plugins to select which sample plays, but you don't actually need to do that, right? You can, in fact, go in here and you see where it says receive? Receive represents which note the drum rack receives to send to that chain. So you can see if as I move receive, you can see the pad moving to reflect which note it is to receive. So that does the input, and then the output here is on play. And if you go on your push and you select the drum rack level, there's this transpose knob button, or transpose knob on your push, and you can see that that's actually changing which note is playing, right? And because I split this by key, when I change notes here, it's going to change which kick plays. And I can go select through my folder of sounds like that. Right? So now if I want, I can save this and call this 128 ill Gates kicks, and then I'll say 2018 template, because that's from my 2018 studio template library. And then I've saved that, and that's going to collect everything into the library for future use. But you don't even have to necessarily save them to the library. It's so fast that you can just dump a folder of samples into a sampler and do that. So I'm going to do it again slow, and then I'm going to do it fast, okay? So step one is get a sampler and put it on. So I'm going to put it here. And that is now just an empty sampler, and then I'm going to go into my Ill Gates sample library, and I'm going to go snares, acoustic. How many of them are there? Not 128, so let's get another folder after that. Then I'm going to go snares, electronic, and I'm going to select all those, bring those in, and then snares processed, and I'm going to select all those, bring those in. Then when I select them all, I go to the sample window. I can see there are only 97, so I'll select them all and duplicate, giving us 194, which is more than 128. Select them all again, and then you can split them either by key, velocity, or selector. Key is the most useful. Right click, distribute ranges equally. Done. That's it. You're done. Okay? And now, when I click here, I can change in the drum rack what note it plays to change the sample. Okay, so let's do the same thing again now. I'm going to do it, go into my potatoes folder, and I'm going to do it with closed hi-hats. So first step is get a sampler. Second step, go to your sample folder, take all these acoustic hi-hats, closed acoustic hi-hats there, and then there's closed electronic hi-hats here, put those in, and then I want to select all, make sure I have more than 128, there's 91, so I'll duplicate that. And now I should have 182. Great. Select them all. Right click. Distribute ranges equally. Done. All right, let's do another one. Here is going to be open hats. Okay, great. And then go to my sample folder. I'm going to go open acoustic. Bring those acoustic hats in. And then I'm going to go open electronic. Bring those electronic hats in. Oh, it's not quite enough, so I'm going to get the processed ones as well. And then I'm going to go processed. Bring those in, then select them all. 68 samples, okay, duplicate those. Select them all and duplicate. So now I have 136, which is more than 128, so I can right click, distribute ranges equally, and I'm done. And then, now, boom, that's it. So you can make 128s on the fly while you're working. You don't necessarily have to do this big library preparation thing that's a pain in the ass. And it's actually faster to make a 128 to go through a folder of samples than it is to go through the folder of samples. Like going through here, especially if Ableton's playing, right? You gotta like wait for it to quantize and everything. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So if you just fire them into a sampler, that's all you gotta do. So here, let's get like a stab now, okay? So I'm gonna go into drum rack folders. I'll go into Spice, grab a sampler, put it here, then go into my folder. In the Spice folder, what kind of spice am I gonna use? Let's go to stabs. Yeah, there's stabs. And then I'm gonna select all these stabs. There's 57. Let's say I just want stabs in this. Select all, duplicate, duplicate. Select all again. So I have 168, and boom, distribute ranges equally. Boom, you're off to the races. So that's how you make 128s really fast while you're working. You do not have to stress about making 128s. Just take a folder of samples, put it in a sampler, make sure you have more than 128, select them all. In the zone editor, right click and distribute ranges equally. Boom. So that's how you make 128s real quick. So hopefully that will help you. All right. That's that weekly download. I'm going to make another one. And yeah, if you want to get all of these weekly downloads, just go to theweeklydownload.com. It's only $5 a week. This is number 64. So yeah, there's a lot of these. All right. Have fun, everyone. Peace. It's weekly download time. 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 And now we're going to learn some stuff. It's weekly download time. 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 And now we're going to learn some stuff. Okay, cool. So I'm going to show you how this technique for making your samplers okay, so making 128s is a huge part of how I teach people to organize your libraries. And basically a 128 is a sampler with 128 or more of a given sample that you can select through with a knob. And if you look at a lot of my older libraries, you know, if you, for example, the Infinite Drum Rack, that is all organized with 128. So you can see here this Infinite Drum Rack. When I bring this in, right, the Infinite Drum Rack, on each drum cell, instead of just having one sample, it has a knob where you can change samples. So like, let's say I'll play this kick here, right? If I go to that 128, I can select which kick. So it's really useful to be able to change drum sounds with a knob. And you can find a little set of drums that you can change your drum feel up really easily and really fast. But a lot of people, they look at these 128s and they're like, oh my God, it's a rack, it's a macro, there's all this programming that was involved, this is complicated. And I'm going to show you that making 128s is not complicated. It's very easy, and it's something that you can do on the fly while you're working, and it will make everything much faster and easier for you. So I'm going to show you now how to make 128s on the fly. So let's just load an empty drum rack, right? And we're going to put a sampler because you need to have a sampler to make 128s. So I'm going to take this sampler, and you can see the zone editor here. That's where you put the samples. So I'm going to go to my sample library, and yeah, if you're in the dojo, definitely go get this sample library. It's got everything you need. So I'm going to go here to my meat, and I'm going to get kicks. I'm going to go acoustic kicks. I'm going to bring these in. Okay, there's 40, so it's not quite 128 yet. So I'm going to go to electronic kicks. I'm going to drag those in, and then that's still not 128, I would estimate, so I'm going to go to processed kicks and drag those in. Now if I select them all, if I go to sample, I'll see there's only 102, so select them all and duplicate, giving us 204. Select them all again, right click, and distribute ranges equally. And now to select which sample in the drum rack, you can see here if I change which note it receives, you can see it moves around the drum rack, changing which pad is activating that sampler. But if I change which note it plays, right, and I can either do that here in this field in the drum rack, which is available in the input output, or I can use my push and just select it and then move a knob. It's that easy. Okay, so there's kicks. Let's do some snares. So drag that in, and then go to my samples. I'm gonna go snares, acoustic. Okay, great. Oh, there's only 20. I need some more. Okay, let's do snares, electronic. Let's drag those in. Boom. And that's still not 128, so I'm gonna get my process snares folder, drag all those in, select them all. Oh, there's 97, so I will duplicate that and then select them all. Okay, there's 194, that's over 128. Right click, distribute ranges equally. And now, and then you can select them like that. So that's how fast it can be to make 128. So don't just make 128s in your nighttime sessions. Make 128s while you're working. If you get fast at it, you can just make them while you're working, and any folder of samples can become a 128. And it's actually faster and easier to use 128s to go through your samples than it is to go dig through the folders in your library. It's way less of a bummer. It's way faster, and yeah, it'll help get your workflow going so you can get your ideas out while they're still hot and fresh. And that is how you make 128s really fast on the fly. All right, peace out.